Hey everyone. I've been wanting to start talking about random games for a long time already. But I don't want to do the same shit everybody's doing, you know. Everybody's talking how cool Final Fantasy 7 is. Everybody's talking about how great Ocarina of Time is. Everybody's talking about new Smash Bros. Everybody talks about the same shit all the time. And that is something I really wanted to avoid. Which is why I really wanted to start doing my top 10 series, which I am still planning to do. I want to start that this year. About top 10s of every favorite system, you know, subgenres, indie games, all that kind of stuff. And today we're going to do a smaller version of that. To talk about some games not a lot of people talk about. And I wanted to do top 5 RPGs you probably haven't played. I'm emphasizing probably because I fucking hate it when people make videos like, oh, these are like 10 movies you have never seen, or these are 5 games you never played. No, come on. You're talking to gamers here. Gamers watch your shit. That's insulting as fuck. Chances are a lot of you have played some of these games. Not many of you probably played all of these. And what's funny about these RPGs, why I want to talk about them, is there's some games in it that you probably don't even know are hardcore RPGs. I want to do this in a top 5 kind of order to make it more interesting. My least favorite on this list to my favorite. And the first one I want to talk about is Evolution. Now, I learned of this game via the GameCube. One of the reasons I like the GameCube so much is that it got a shitload of upgraded ports of Dreamcast games. You had games like Sonic Adventure Battle, the incredible Skies of Arcadia Legend, all with added quests, added items, all that kind of shit, and of course, Evolution World. Now, there's so many more games, you know, like Crazy Taxi, but I don't own that yet. But these are the games I own that I know are ports from the Dreamcast. And I love that about the GameCube. So I played it here. I bought this before I lived in France. I was on vacation once, I think. I bought it. And you know, you see the screenshots with the characters and the game. And I'm like, alright, you know. I love RPGs. It's another reason I love the GameCube, you know. GameCube had like Button Kaitos, Tales of Symphonia, Skies of Arcadia, Evolution, there's Final Fantasy, there's so many incredible RPGs on the GameCube. But yeah, Evolution Worlds. I'm using Evolution Worlds now because on the Dreamcast it was called the World of Sacred Device, I think. Yes, the World of Sacred Device. I love the atmosphere of this game. It feels very child friendly. There's some weird attacks, you know, basically the characters, the world, they revolve around, I think what they're called mechs. I forgot what they were called because it's been way too long since I've played this. Oh, Cyframes, maybe that's the name. Where adventurers, they go to dungeons, you know, for treasure and all that kind of stuff, and they have devices they use. Like the main character has like this Swiss blade, giant arm kind of thing with this punching thing. But like, there's a girl that's with him, she just fights with a pan. It's just so dumb. And she has like this butler, this guy who looks after her. And he fights like with food. He cooks, actually. And I love how silly this game is. It's definitely something I would recommend. It's last on my list for one reason only. The biggest flaw of this game is that the dungeons get to be very repetitive, and that gets kind of boring if you don't really get too much into it. And like, it's very kid friendly, it's very simple, but it's definitely an RPG a lot of people just don't think about. So there's options for you, you know. Two great systems, both had it. So definitely check out Evolution World. Next up, the Nintendo DS, the original DS. The DS housed a crazy amount of RPGs. 20% of which were actually good, I feel. Like some of the stuff I own, Luna, Dragon Song, which I imported from America. Terrible fucking game, and I love how this game used the dual screen ID to make a bigger thing, but this game is like the most grindy game ever. I never finished it just because it became so annoying. And you have like masterpieces like the remake of Final Fantasy 3, remake of Final Fantasy 4. You had like the Crystal Chronicles, Rings of Fates, absolutely amazing game. You had games like From the Abyss, Dragon Quest, Joker 1. I still want to get Joker 2. You have games like Dragon Quest 9, games like Blue Dragon, Awakened Shadow, and a lot of these are very common. A lot of people know about all these games, but one RPG on the DS that is something you should so check out because it's so funny. I love the concept, and that is Dungeon Maker. Dungeon Maker is an RPG where the world is over. I think I don't remember exactly. I think the principle of the story was that the world was overrun with monsters, too many monsters. So you find this magical shovel. I think it has a face even always, the shovel, and this shovel helps you through your story. And the idea behind Dungeon Maker is what it says. It's not really a sim game. It's not really a sim game because the title might make you think of it. In Dungeon Maker, you create dungeons. You start digging, you make rooms, and this is where it gets funny. The Dungeon Maker, that is why I love this game. It basically could be the prequel to every RPG ever made. That is why it has to be on this list and why you should check it out. You're creating dungeons to attract monsters. You create rooms with beds. You give them chests, treasure chests, so the monsters can put their shit in it. And if you think about this, you know, it explains why in every other RPG, you know, like, why are there chests in these dungeons? Why are these monsters here? And some games, obviously, they explain that shit, but it's for shits and giggles. Like, this game puts a lore behind that shit, and it is just so funny. The minor point for me for this game would be the battle system. It uses a Dragon Quest type battle system, which I don't really like, which is like this first person thing, like Earthbound does that too, and I hate that battle system in RPGs. If you do turn-based, I want to see the characters. I don't want to just stare at the monsters, it's kind of boring. So that will be a negative thing for me about this game, but it's absolutely awesome, and I highly would recommend this Dungeon Maker on the DS. The next one, for third place, is an N64 game. A lot of people always complain, the N64 has no RPGs, has no RPGs. I consider Zelda an RPG. It's an action-adventure RPG. Even if you don't count Zelda, there are other games like Mystic Quest or whatever the game was called, I don't remember exactly. There are a few, I agree there's not many. But people always overlook a fucking masterpiece of a game. Top 10 greatest N64 games.
Mr. Diaz, he's here.
Johnny? It is you, isn't it? Why didn't he recognize me? Is it just someone who looks like him?
That man. Kill him.
Why did you shoot?
Not now. There's something wrong with Mr. Diaz. We've got to get him below ground.
There's a witness.
The evidence is gone. He has no trace left.
Hybrid Heaven. Hybrid Heaven brought to the N64 what you only started seeing later on like PlayStation 2 kind of shit, like deep third-person RPG experience. It had an insane story, it has awesome visuals, it had cutscenes, and it had conspiracy theories and all that shit. And what made Hybrid Heaven so good is it incorporated a little bit of first-person shooter elements, not much, but the combat system. You go into a room, enemies appear. You fight active turn-based, where you walk a character around and then an enemy grabs you, or there's an opening and then you get prompted to select an attack, select a counter move. If the enemy grabs you, you can select a grab, you can select a headbutt. You know, there's all these kind of defensive moves and attack moves that you can perform in a turn-based kind of fashion. And what's incredible about Hybrid Heaven is that the way your character levels up, you don't just level up your stats, individual body parts learn moves, like your right arm learns specific moves, your left leg learns specific moves, and it's such a joy to play and to upgrade your character. Now, like I said, the visuals, and the greatest thing about this, without a doubt, is the story. It has an amazing story with a ton of plot twists. It is a perfect gem, an absolute must own if you own this N64. Negative points about Hybrid Heaven is that sometimes the movement of the character might feel very blocky a bit. In combat you tend to notice it, but like I said, because you select moves, it kind of auto-plays, you're not really playing a fighter, so it doesn't matter too much. Hybrid Heaven. Go pick this shit. It is worth buying N64 just for this game. On second place, one of my favorite games ever, one of my favorite 3DS games. I love this game so much, and people overlook it because they don't like rhythm games. I hate rhythm games. I can't stand rhythm games. I suck at them. Games like Harmonite, Space Channel, all that kind of shit. I hate that stuff. But Theatrhythm, Final Fantasy Curtain Call is an absolute marvel in game design. And before it is a rhythm game, it is still a Final Fantasy RPG. The Final Fantasy series has some of the greatest music out there. I still plan at one point to make a full review of this game because I love it so much. The way it works in Theatrhythm, some rhythm games, you press up, you press down, blah blah blah. In Theatrhythm, you have several different options, several play modes, and you follow the stylus on the screen, for example, and wavy lines. You tap it in a specific rhythm. You have to hold it sometimes in the rhythm. You move it up, down, left, right. You tap left, you tap right, you tap right. There's a lot of mechanics to it. And I'm actually quite good at it. I can do expert shit depending on the song with ease. Some songs are just overkill, but it is a beautiful game. And what makes this an RPG, and a lot of people don't see it, is it celebrates all of Final Fantasy. So first of all, the musical library of this is just amazing. But you find new characters, you unlock new characters, you unlock crystals to choose new characters. And when you have a character, you play songs, you level up through songs, you learn new moves, you equip movesets to your character, defending moves, attacking moves, depending on the style of song, what kind of move you have. Your character levels up more, you get stronger, you have cards, you can blend into a system to level up individual moves, individual stats of your character. And depending on what monster you fight, what kind of level you choose, you have to select your theme carefully. The moves you do, they play a certain role. And with the stats and the movesets, and it becomes an actual RPG, and you start to focus a lot on which character is good in which scenario, and it is just a must own. And it is at the core, it is a rhythm game, of course, but when you have the Final Fantasy music, like you take one of the great things that Final Fantasy VII did have is one of the best battle songs, for example, and then you have like Terra's theme, Final Fantasy X, any Final Fantasy game. It even had DLC of games like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, songs in there, guest characters and the kind of shit. And you basically making a team, equipping them with shit, giving them moves, selecting moves carefully because of the bonus attributes and everything, and depending on the enemy, what kind of move you do, it just becomes important, and you make combos by, of course, doing the rhythm shit. Final Fantasy Theatrhythm Curtain Call is for me a perfect RPG, and something that if you like good music, RPGs, it is something you should check out. Think of that more than being a rhythm game, because like I said, I suck at rhythm games. This game is so good. It even has online battles. You can find players online and fight them. You can still get battles, not as easy as you used to, but depending on the time of day and everything, you can still play, and it is so much fun fighting other people, and that is why your team really starts to shine, and you have to really think about attack moves and kind of shit, because suddenly what your moves do even affects the enemy. Absolute perfection, something you should definitely check out. Even if you're just a Final Fantasy fan, just an RPG fan, just a rhythm game fan, it hits all the right spots for all these things. And my number one favorite RPG from this list, I talked about the GameCube a lot. I love the GameCube, it's one of my favorite systems. And like it has a buttload of RPGs. I already talked about Evolution. I mentioned Skies of Arcadia. I mentioned Button Titles. There's Tales of Symphonia. There's like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Like the Zelda games, like I said, I count that shit. And there's so much more. And one of my favorite ones is a game not a lot of people talk about. Lost Kingdoms. Lost Kingdoms 1 and Lost Kingdoms 2 are amazing role-playing games. I love these games. Now, between Lost Kingdoms 1 and Lost Kingdoms 2, they're not that related story-wise. So if I have to suggest just one, pick up Lost Kingdoms 2. Because the thing that Lost Kingdoms 1 did is you meet an enemy, you go into a separate battle screen. Lost Kingdoms 2 is more, it's not open world, but the levels stay open. You meet an enemy, you fight them directly on the spot. You have, the way Lost Kingdoms work is you fight with cards. You have, for example, you have a lizard card that you hit the A button, you have your cards on the system, on the buttons. You hit the lizard card, you instantly have slash attack, so you have direct attacks. You have, for example, a little dragon, it's a fireball, so you have a distant attack. You have, for example, robots. This game 2 started using robots. You get defensive shields. You can summon giant boats that crash into the earth. So you have summon techniques. 2 also added transformations where you can become like this Hawkman. So you can transform into characters. So every card has a specific way to attack. And it adds so much gameplay variety. That's why I say add 2, because 2 added like transformations and it added a lot of more variety to the cards. It added new elements to the cards, and I love the artworks of the cards, the way the moves do, the sound design. You can combine cards to make ultimate summons. So your character herself, she levels up, and the cutscenes are amazing. The story is pretty cool and it has this very medieval fantasy kind of setting, and come on, that's my shit, that is my shit. So Lost Kingdoms 1 is still a great game. The music in these games are such beautiful music. Lost Kingdoms 1 is still, like I said, a great game and I love it. But if you would only pick one to see if you would like the franchise, I suggest go with Lost Kingdoms 2, because I'm afraid that a lot of people would start Lost Kingdoms 1 and then never try 2, because the battle system, like you go into a new area for the battles, is kind of weird. The cards are lacking, there's less options. This is one of those games that is a perfect sequel, and considering the story is not that much related, there's 2 different women, like 2 different princesses and shit, so it doesn't really matter, so just pick up Lost Kingdoms 2. I hope that through this video you discovered some games that you might want to check out, like something you might not have played, like Theater Rhythm, because you're just too biased on rhythm games like I used to be. Lost Kingdoms 2, because some people are biased against the fucking GameCube these days. Evolution World, because not everybody actually looked at what the Dreamcast had to offer, and again what the GameCube brought over. Dungeon Maker, which I cannot find anymore right now, which is so silly, and on the DS got flooded with games, so that's probably an oversight for a lot of people. And of course, Hybrid Heaven, because the N64 does not have RPGs. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like this video. I just really wanted to talk about some of these games that not a lot of people talk about. I want to talk about games that you don't hear come up very often, because then it creates new dialogue, it creates new interest, and you teach people something. And then in the comment section people can go like, have you heard of this RPG? It's pretty cool. And if you do that, and you name Final Fantasy, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. That's why this video is so good. These are RPGs you probably haven't played. Some of you have, because once again, we're all gamers. Stop being so fucking condescending with your fucking video titles. Thank you guys for watching, and stay real.